Welcome back to Mystara for another look at everyone's favorite economic Cold War between the Minrothad guilds and the Republic of Darokin. This time around we're looking at the guild wizards, better known as the merchant princes, that both nations employ to protect and increase their profit margin. What makes these wizards different from the rest? Aside from the economics degree, of course. I'm Mr. Welch, and it's time to cast Diamond Hands. Both Darokin and Minrothad introduced the concept of merchant wizards in their respective gazetteers, Darokin with the merchant class and Minrothad with the merchant prince class. It was an interesting concept, but the mechanics of it were overly complicated and borderline unplayable. It was later adapted into the concept of wizards hired directly by the guilds to act as magical bodyguards for caravans and merchant ships, and also use their magic to detect fraud, or if necessary, commit it. In exchange for working for the guilds, the wizards would be given increased access to their arcane libraries, as well as being handsomely compensated for their term of employment. Despite the mutual dislike both nations have for each other, their tactics in regard to the merchant princes have quite a bit of overlap. They look for young wizards who have just finished their apprenticeship as the preferred candidate to be a merchant prince. The guilds want to train new wizards in the ways of magic. They don't want to deal with someone set in their way who might object to the method that has already been established. Since the guilds have to teach the wizards the new spells required to be a merchant prince, it makes sense to train younger wizards as they are eager to learn spells that otherwise might be of marginal use. A spell that instantly tells you the balance of a loaded wagon is useless to an invoker, but invaluable to a caravan master. Inside their nation, young wizards know of the opportunities available, as the guilds make a point of keeping track of apprentices when they're getting close to graduating to journeyman. Promising apprentices will often start a bidding war between their original master, who might want to see the new wizard continue on their original path, or the guilds who promise immediate wealth and access to unknown magics. The biggest difference between the two is mainly prestige versus money. The guilds do pay much better, but their wizards rarely stand out compared to the more independent archmages. The benefits of being a merchant prince are immediate. The wizard signs a contract, usually magically enforced, to serve the guilds for a specific period of time. The number of years involved vary by wizard, but is rarely less than 5 or more than 10 years. The wizard can continue the contract afterwards, at which time the contract will be renegotiated. The wizard is then immediately put on a salary and sent to the corresponding guild's wizards academy for further training. There, the future merchant prince will be instructed on the variety of spells unique to the guild, the practical application of the spells in the course of their duty, and skills necessary for surviving on the road or on a ship. Breaking a contract is considered a very bad thing, and the wizard will be responsible for paying back the signing bonus, as well as further punitive measures. Considering the magical nature of the contract, memory wipe is a common punishment for those that try to get out of their duties. Both nations will also try to recruit wizards from other lands, as foreign merchant princes help smooth over dealing with customs while crossing borders. Because of the larger populations of nations like Thyatis and the greater concentration of wizards in nations like Glantry and Alphatia, it's often easier for the nations to find disgruntled apprentices abroad. Glantrian wizards have limited upward mobility in their nation's convoluted and often lethal politics. Thaetian wizards will be pressured into joining the military, which is just as restrictive as Darokin's merchant duty, but also pays far less. Alphatians will often travel to smaller nations to try to achieve a better chance of fame and power because of their nation's oversaturation of spellcasters. Darokin's focus for its merchant princes consists of caravan duty, and later the auditing of its merchant houses. The wizards are forced to travel alongside the miles-long caravans, using their magics to repair wagons, calm oxen, and counteract the effects of weather to increase the caravan's overall travel speed. It's tedious and often miserable work, and the primary reason why the merchant guild pays its wizards so well. A wizard might be used to studying in a well-heated and, more importantly, dry library, so having to cast a spell to lift a wagon wheel out of a mud hole in a pouring rain will often come as a bit of a shock to a new merchant prince. To keep the wizards happy, they are provided with no small amount of benefits. First and foremost, merchant princes earn a hefty salary, even during their training. Trainees are often given several hundred gold pieces a month as a stipend, depending on the nature of their contract. Once they graduate, the fees go up to around 1,000 gold pieces a level. While they do have to purchase their spell components and any research materials normally, they get a decent discount from the various guilds. When they stay at guild houses, they are given the best room available, which allows them to enjoy a brief bit of luxury that they were used to. Lastly, they can buy any available spells from the guild's library, rather than have to research each spell independently. This sounds great on paper, but the wizards soon discover the spells offered by Darokin are rather common, with the exception of the guild-specific spells. New spells sold on the streets of Glantry aren't going to be found in the libraries of Cornglain. On the road, the merchant princes will be assigned at least one bodyguard from the caravan guards. The guilds have put a lot of money into training the wizard. They aren't going to send them out in the wilds without someone watching their back. The newest wizards will be given veteran guards, and as they gain more experience, they will notice that as they become capable of protecting themselves, the quality of the guards go down as well. High-ranking merchant princes are tasked with teaching the newer guards how to properly guard a wizard, so they can be reassigned to less experienced merchant princes. The road is a harsh life for a wizard, but every wizard starts off on caravan duty. They are assigned a relatively comfortable yet unremarkable wagon to accompany the caravan. The merchant prince is always directly under the command of the caravan master, though high-ranking merchant princes will often be the caravan master. A caravan will typically have at least a few merchant princes, with new wizards sharing a single wagon. They will all have their defined duties, and will be given a schedule of what spells will be memorized for what day. On the first day, they will have spells for detecting flaws in the various wagons. As the caravan proceeds, some wizards will use spells to increase the speed of it, and a few will be armed with spells to defend against any attack. When inclement weather is expected, spells that mitigate it are called for. The higher the value of the caravan, the more powerful the merchant princes are assigned to it. For their own protection, the wizards dress like regular caravan workers to prevent from being singled out by archers or assassins in case of an ambush. After a merchant prince has several caravans under his belt, he will be transferred to auditing the various guild holdings in Darokin and abroad. Now the spells required change to help find fraud, balance books, and verify the quality and content of goods. When working as an auditor, the merchant prince will have a contingent of merchants and other investigators under him, fully authorized to take any steps to deal with fraud or theft. Audits are preferred to caravan duty, but there's always more caravan work than audit work, unfortunately for the wizards. All the merchant princes are trained at the academy in Darokin City, where they work for the merchant guilds rather than a specific family. Wizards will be assigned as needed, and they will work for most or all of the families over the course of their career. In Minrothad, merchant princes serve on ships instead of caravans naturally, and because of this enjoy a higher quality of life. Merchant princes for the island nation are assigned their own cabins, complete with desks and a cabinet for spell-related items. They serve under the captain. Unlike Darokin, a high-ranking merchant prince will never be the ship's captain, as the two duties are too dissimilar. A captain may give a merchant prince a good deal of authority on board, but only under dire circumstances will a merchant prince be expected to sail the ship. Their job is to protect the cargo and get it to port faster. One being forced to take command of a ship means something has gone very wrong. Minrothad's merchant princes are fewer in number than their land-based counterparts, but no less valued. Since they only have to protect a single ship, not as many of them are needed. In addition, Minrothad has a much smaller population than Darokin, so their pool of wizards is also much smaller. A large merchant vessel might have up to 5 wizards on board, where a smaller vessel would get by with a single experienced one. Minrothad allows the wizards to select the vessel they will serve on based on seniority, rather than rotating the wizards constantly. Still, if a ship has to stay in port for any period of time, all the merchant princes on board will be assigned to the nearest available vessels. The wizards are paid well, and given similar benefits to the ones in Darokin. In addition, they will never have to do any work on a ship outside their assigned duties, and are automatically treated as an officer. They can take free passage on any ship that flies under a Minrothad flag, though they will be expected to protect the ship from enemies or weather as normal. They are, of course, automatically a member of the Tutorial Guild, even if they aren't a native of Minrothad. On land, they're treated like nobility, even if the nation doesn't actually have nobles. But such is the prestige of the merchant prince that they will be given special discounts and treatments by merchants wanting the wizard's patronage. On board, the wizards are expected to use their magic to inspect and keep the cargo from shifting once under sail. Several of their spells involve predicting the weather, along with other spells that keep the ship safe even in the worst of storms. Other spells make life easier on the crew by reducing long and arduous tasks to just the casting of a single spell. Merchant princes are typically well liked by the crew because of all the labor-saving spells they possess. In case of piracy, the wizards are expected to be the first line of defense, and on dangerous routes, a merchant prince will keep numerous offensive spells memorized at all times. All the merchant princes are trained by the Tutorial Guild on Minrothad Island, before being assigned a training voyage under the care of a senior merchant prince. The newly graduated wizards will have gone on numerous training voyages, casting minor spells and helping maintain the ship while learning the ins and outs of the profession. Once they have become experienced enough to cast multiple spells, then they will be assigned their own vessel and be allowed to operate alone. They will always start out on smaller merchant ships before joining other merchant princes to operate one of the larger merchantmen. Auditing duties are the heart of the Minrothad guilds, but they also have another purpose for their wizards, that of smuggling. The veteran merchant princes will be taught spells to help conceal cargoes, embezzle, and otherwise avoid the watchful eye of port authorities. These spells do not officially exist, and the guild will disavow any wizard that is caught using magic to alter a ship's cargo manifest. But any wizard careless enough to get caught defrauding a port authority was never good enough to be a merchant prince in the first place. Next week we're going for a historical lesson with Thaetian victory names. Those cool new nicknames you get for winning a war for the Empire. Did you just crush the entire might of the Trollodarian army and take over their nation? Well, congratulations, General Trollodarius. But until next week, go Stros.